What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Wednesday. Waiting on Clean. He hasn't gotten back to me this morning, so I don't know if he's going to be here, but that's also somewhat typical to just kind of like see him show up last few minutes. But I know that I canceled the last few days, had to take my mom to the hospital and the doctors, so just dealing with all that stuff. We'll see what happens in the next few minutes, see if Clean shows up. But today is what everybody's calling Liberation Day. We'll have to see. I'll show the Robin Hood right here. I kind of took this as like buy the rumor, sell the news, but like the opposite. So while everything was falling on probably Friday and Monday, I was buying SoFi. And I decided, I think it was Monday, to buy an option on SoFi, another one, because I wanted to go a bit bigger with my SoFi options. I didn't think that the dip would last. So I bought it somewhere, one of these dips really low. My buy for my shares was 1104. And I think my buy for the option was 1122. So somewhere in this candle on the, was it the 31st or was it? Yeah, it must have been the 31st. So bought another option there. Added another 500 to the Robinhood, just because I wanted to play with more options. Just trying to get more money out of everything. I'm not 100% convinced we're going to crash. I felt like the tariffs could be a big nothing burger. Obviously, it's not going to be completely nothing. What's going on, Fadi? What's going on, Devo? But, everybody overreacts to everything. That's why I kind of thought it would be the opposite of buy the rumor, sell the news. So I went ahead and bought the news, and then maybe later I'll sell some rumor. I don't know. Today is great rumor news. I wish Clean was here, just because I don't want to reiterate it to him if he hasn't heard it, but we will. But some rumors that we've had this morning, we started with Canada to remove tariffs if the U.S. removes theirs first. Now, I don't know if that's Canada talking about removing the reciprocal tariffs. So, they'll tariff us if we tariff them. So I don't know if they're trying to be proactive about that, or if they're actually talking about the 200% tariffs on their dairy or their lumber and all that. Then there was a rumor that Canada and Mexico were going to strengthen trade, which, makes sense, because if you're fearful that the United States is going to tax you more, then you might want to strengthen your trade with your other alliances. And then Amazon put in a bid to buy TikTok, which I thought was really cool. But Amazon didn't really move off of that. We can kind of check out where Amazon's at right now, see if it started moving. And then there was also another rumor. Okay, so it did start moving. That's pretty cool. Let's see overall. I mean, overall, we're still very low. That's why I'm going to be holding these calls for a while, just because I really feel like we could, at the very least, see a V recovery, maybe to about February 19th levels. Maybe not all-time highs, but I think we could get pretty close. There's a lot of people that are still very heavily shorting the market, and if they get squeezed up, I think we could have a decent bounce at the very least before we go back down in any sort of fearful environment. But right now, I think that we have a lot of upside to either catch up on or to just kind of squash out the negativity. Also, with tariffs coming in today, we could see tariffs coming in lower than what people expect. So 25% is kind of the number that he's been throwing out throughout the last week and even months. So if we see something even like 15%, maybe lower, I don't know. He did say it would be much lower than we've been getting tariffed, but that's hard to say what he means by that, because if Canada is tariffing us 200% on dairy, we could go 100%, and that would still be less. So it just depends on how he really wants to talk about that and what he means. But the other rumor, which I think got confirmed, is that Elon is going to be leaving the government sometime soon. We don't know what soon means, but Trump told insiders that Elon would be leaving the government. So Tesla, if we go and look at Tesla stock, Tesla's kind of going crazy today too. So 4.5% isn't like anything super crazy, but it's a good start. All right. So we'll have to see if any of this turns into a larger buy the dip opportunity, or if it just keeps rocketing. But Bitcoin also was doing really good this morning. So we can go check out Bitcoin. Looking at ADA, we got 69 cents. we almost hit 70, or maybe we did. No, almost. And then Bitcoin was at 87,000, still at 87 and some change. There was a, I don't know if this is true. I'll go over to X. This is also a coin I'm going to talk about pretty soon, is Rookie. It's been out for about a week now. It's by the Clay team. It's a meme coin. It's only at 25,000 total liquidity. I think that's pretty low, especially for something with Clay. But because the environment isn't super, meme coiny, it's not having its full pump that I believe it could have. So I threw in some money into Clay. We'll go look at that a bit more later. But if we go to our notifications, I've been following Kaizen and Nobu a little bit. These are just some, I don't even know who they really are. They have decent amount of followers. And I got shouted them out by, damn, it's been a while. Let me check. Who did I get? By Liam from Stag Alliance. So he told me to watch these two accounts. He says that he uses them to help trade. So Nobu here, he's a guy who I've been liking recently. He said Fidelity with 6 trillion AUM now allows its investors to directly invest into crypto for retirement plans. And I think that is freaking awesome. So people will now be able to put money from their paychecks directly into crypto, which could be, extremely beneficial for these people if they get in early and if crypto does continue. But also 6 trillion is nothing to scoff at. That is pretty sick. So those are all the rumors that I've heard this morning through my stock guy and through the wire. I think that's, a lot of bullish news. I was expecting, even while holding these options, I was expecting some negative news. What's even crazier is, we go look at pretty much any stock, Mara, for example, and everything was down this morning, right up until 9:30, the open. And then we instantly just started pumping. So I was expecting to hear some rumors of, maybe Canada's looking to punish us through like reciprocal tariffs, or maybe, China's looking to like devalue their currency more and say, fuck it, like we don't care. And we just kept getting bullish rumor after bullish rumor. So this is pretty crazy. It's fun to be a part of a bounce. It's also a little bit scary because it could turn right around. But I'm trying to keep positive here. I'm hoping that we can just keep bouncing. I'm hoping that stuff like Rookie and some other meme coins on Cardano can start popping again, because I am so ready to trade. Like I've just been checking like every maybe like 2 weeks, just like, is there anything to trade? Anything? And not really. There's been a few things. There's been Bach. Bach's been doing pretty good, but I faded Bach and now it's at all-time highs, so I'll continue to fade it. And again, though, only 40K total liquidity is really not that high. So we'll have to see. I did buy a little bit more. Was it Chad? No, I didn't buy Chad. This is my other wallet too, so I don't even know. Let me check my other wallet. That actually scares me. I could have sworn I had. Oh, okay, this is the right wallet. Okay, I got scared for a second. I thought I lost all my snack. That would have scared me. So yeah, this is pretty much everything that we're looking at today. Do y'all have any sort of like stocks that y'all been buying? Were y'all too fearful to buy? Are you still too fearful? Like, what is the sentiment with y'all? How do y'all feel about this? And I also think it's 102, so maybe clean is not coming today. That's all good. But yeah, I've just been trying to keep my mind occupied. I've been working out a little bit more. My brother and I finally got into Minecraft, which I thought was pretty funny. So we've just been like building stuff and keeping ourselves occupied with that. If anybody's interested in that, I'll show you all the world. But for now, we're just looking at, potential plays. I've been inside of Jupiter's Discord too. I've been just trying to see what anybody's playing. It seems that Balk has a bot and people have been doing pretty decently trading with the Balk bot. Talos as well. I should definitely shout out Talos. Has been holding up probably the best out of any coin on Cardano. It did have a decent sell-off, somewhat recent, but I don't know. That's still pretty high. Still pretty high up there. Check out Snack real quick. Snack's having a good day. A really good day. It's trying to break out of its levels as well. Sitting tight, buying dip where I can. Did you buy any dip on Monday, Friday, Tuesday? Like the low, basically? Because it was, I'll show the chart. The chart was scary. If you look at the S&P 500, we not only fell below this range, we bounced above it and then fell strongly on some heavy candles. One heavy candle rejection, kind of sideways, but still falling. And then another heavy candle rejection, and then gap down into below the other low. So right here, after gapping below this low, I thought we might get something like up, down, like way further down. And we didn't. I mean, I bought the dip right here. I woke up that morning. That's when I got SoFi for 1102. But I was nervous, man. I was expecting to maybe see SoFi at 10, and then I was going to double up if I saw it at 10. But no, we're just going higher. So we'll really have to see the tariffs. They're going to get announced at 4. So at 4 p.m. Eastern time, Trump's going to come on live. He's going to talk about the exact amount of the tariffs. There was just a rumor. I heard it on the wire before I came out here, but I didn't actually check it out. That it's going to be below 25% for tariffs, but it's going to be kind of across the board. So 20% is kind of mid. It's like, we'll probably go sideways for a little bit. I think if we get 20%, I'd be happier with 15. And if we get something like 10%, I think buy calls on everything. I think 10% is just, it's kind of like releasing mosquitoes in your enemy's nest. Like, it's not going to kill them. It's just going to piss them off a little bit, but like 15 to 20% is like releasing killer bees in there. Like a few people might die, but majority of people are just going to be very angry. And 25% is just, it's the fuck you that he's been talking about. So I think if we could get 15 to 10%, that'd be happy. I'd be happy with that. And then if we could even, there's another rumor too, which isn't even a full rumor. This is like mainly true. Republicans aren't happy with the tariffs that he wants to put onto Canada. So they might stop that. So even though Trump wants to do this, he still might have some, resistance, right? And that still might not be able to happen. And if that's the case, we could go up even more because he can't actually tariff how he wants. But I still think, I don't know why when I heard that they couldn't do the same thing for Canada and Mexico and Europe. So for some reason, they only said that about Canada. Maybe that has to do with our North American trade agreement or something. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that more. But I mean, we're still going higher. This is crazy. If we could break above this today, I don't think that would make any sense, right? He hasn't even announced the tariffs yet. But that's how strong these rumors are playing out right now. It's pretty crazy. It's absolutely insane. Did any of you guys grab Rookie? I grabbed 250 ADAs worth of Rookie this morning, and I'm already down about 5-10%, but it's starting to come back. I don't know if a lot of people know about Rookie because, I mean, I myself haven't been looking at Cardano meme coins, but like once every 2 weeks. So I wonder if there's a lot of people that just aren't looking right now and just don't even know. But I think it's nice to kind of find a play that's by Clay Nation, like an OG project that kind of found its floor and is now going like, you didn't get FOMO'd in here and buy that. Maybe some people did, buy the top, get kind of shafted on the way down, get shafted on the way down again. And now you don't want to play it anymore. Or at least that's how I kind of experience these coins. I kind of get to play the rebound potentially into a higher, high in the future. It could turn out to maybe be something like what we saw with Block. So let's see. Let's go back a bit further. So, Block ran up. It had this big crash. All these people for a few days were like, nah, screw this. I lost too much money. And then a few believers came back and then people got shafted again. And then probably people doubled down on that whole like, nah, I'm definitely done. And then we really run, So maybe something like that does happen with Clay Nation. I hope it kind of does like a Chad, Chad run by Bajewski, who's been here forever. And if Clay could Clay has the recognition, right? But I don't know. Bajewski NFTs weren't that high when Chad Coin came out and it continued to run. So, but Chad did come out at the right time. I will say that. But I don't know. It's one of those plays where I didn't go too hard, and it's worth the risk in my opinion. Like it's Clay. Last buy was on the weekend. Oh, so you bought more Cardano or Bitcoin? I sold my XLM at 42 cents. So let's go see where XLM is at now. And then I used that money. Oh, this is market cap. So now it's at 27. So maybe 40% dip from where I sold it back here, January, like end of January. And I used that money to buy Render on the dip. But Render kept dipping. So I think my first buy was at 4.2. I really like those 420 numbers. I think it was like here. So I was like, okay, that's a massive dip. I'm happy to buy it on dips. I love buying dips. Even if I get fucked a little bit more, it's like I'll just buy another dip. I don't know. I don't like buying it when it's going up. And then, it kept going, and then it came back. I thought I was doing good, and then it kept going, and then it kind of stalled and kept going. And now I'm kind of down a bit. I think I bought more around 3, and then I bought more around like 3, 4, and now I'm all out. So I'm hoping Render kind of comes back. But that was my most recent play. Oh, I'm not even showing it. My bad. So yeah, I sold. XLM was like back here in January. Where was it? Like January somewhere. And then bought Render on the way down around here. And then it kept going, bought more. And we're just waiting. We're waiting for the dip to come back. XRP, ADA, XLM, HBAR, Pepe for fun. Got some Rookie, not much. Yeah, I'm hoping Rookie can turn into something. XRP is good, but it's so high. My average price for XRP is 60 cents. So I didn't sell any XRP. I feel like the XRP army is way too strong. So we'll let it run. I'd rather hold XRP and just keep adding to that than XLM just because. What's up, Andrew? What's up, homie? Andrew, do you stream? I couldn't remember if it was you. There was another Andrew that was streaming the other day. He was streaming a video game. I can't even remember what game it was. Maybe it was like a week or two ago. But I thought it was you, so I joined just to like show support. And I watched for a little bit. Oh, you don't? Well, damn. Well, I supported some random Andrew just because of you in your name. That's funny. I didn't like the video game though, so I stopped watching after a bit. How have you been, man? Have you been buying anything on this dip? Are you worried? Like, what do you think's going to happen today? What are the most people, or do most of you not even expect anything to happen today? You just kind of like, I don't know. I'm just here with the popcorn. You're just watching a movie. You don't want to know the ending. You're not thinking about the ending. You're not trying to predict the actor and what he's going to do. I like to kind of predict. I like to think I'm smart and think I can predict it. The Robinhood's starting to go. I'm happy with this. SoFi must be killing it. Mara's back up. Mara, I'm down 31% still though. Not too happy about that, but is what it is. Thanks for trying to support. Hey, I got you, man. I got you. I was like, he shows up to my stream all the time. Like the least I could do is like help this guy out with his like gaming thing. But hey, I tried. Yeah. Anybody else buying Rookie too? I know I just saw some more people join here, so I don't know if everybody's been, maybe just joining a little bit late. I know I haven't streamed the last 2 days or the last 2 Wednesdays. If you're late, you don't know, but I had to take my mom to the hospital a few times She's still going through her cancer treatments and stuff, and every once in a while she'll get a really bad side effect, and we just gotta, figure it out before, things get too bad. I have this feeling we will see things start to pump. Well, I mean, the last 2 days we've been seeing it start to pump, that's for sure. I hope the continuation is there. I really do feel like this is a, opposite of buy the rumor, sell the news. Everybody was so fearful of the tariffs. And if we do get some decent or like less than worst case scenario for the tariffs, there's a lot of people heavily short this market that need to close those positions. I got my 70-cent ADA order in a couple weeks ago. Now just holding. This has to be a manipulation dip, right? I think so. Maybe not even manipulation. I think it's, a lot of the times we think it's manipulation, and sure, like maybe some insiders that are Trump's family or Trump's friends know what he's going to do and are shorting the market. Honestly, though, I think about it, and in 2018, he did the same thing. And tariffs in general are an automatic inflation added to the market. So as soon as we heard Trump talk about adding tariffs, we should have shorted. In January, things still continued to pump. And he was talking about tariffs. We should have shorted. It was the most obvious thing. And in 2018 to 19, he created a trade war with Canada, Mexico, and China. And the same thing with the markets happened until about late 2019 when we started to recover. And then we never looked back until 2020 and COVID happened. So it's really hard to say what would have happened without COVID. But then even still after COVID, the stimulus checks came in and then boom, right? But that's all artificial. So it's hard to say what would have happened. But I don't even know if it's, I wouldn't even call it manipulation. These big hedge funds that manage other people's money, they're up so big, or they were in January. It would have been very foolish to not sell anything, right? I mean, I hold Palantir, for example. I've been buying Palantir for the last like 2 to 3 years. I got some Palantir shares at $7. I got some Palantir shares mostly at 17 to 20. Like that's my average is I think $17. And, I'm up like 600%, 500% in that range on Palantir. And I didn't sell anything because I'm crazy. But, if I was managing other people's money, I would have definitely sold some. And with Tesla, I was nervous about Tesla before anything happened, before Musk was a part of the Doge thing, before we found out that his sales were going to drop this quarter. And while I was nervous, it was like $230 a share. And then it pumped all the way to $440. And I didn't sell anything. And I was like, I was nervous before, but I saw the pump and I got greedy. Like, oh, he's a part of the government and Musk is going to, or Trump is going to definitely support him. It's going to go higher. There's no way it could go lower. It's the greatest company ever. And then boom, now it's down more than 50%. And I actually sold 2 of my shares at 270 and now it's back to like 280, but that's fine because I put it in a SoFi at 1102. But I think it's just like what you have to do. These people have way more money than us. So when they're managing other people's money, they're going to have to sell. And I don't even think it's manipulation. Tariffs are almost as obvious as rates going up, so if we go into a high rate environment, you should sell off your stocks because these big hedge funds could easily buy bonds and make 5 to 10% without doing anything. They don't have to risk anything. So that's all I think it really was, is that tariffs are bad. Okay. Like they just are. So if we see tariffs not be so high, that'll be exactly what the market's expecting. If we see Canada actually take off tariffs, which is what Trump wanted and why he's tariffing Canada, then that's exactly what he wants. And I don't see why he would continue to tariff Canada. And then we can get some bullish news there too. And we'll really have to see. As far as Tesla, because I like to talk about Tesla a lot, I thought about something the other day because their car sales are dropping drastically all across the world, in China, in Europe, in the UK, and in the United States. And of course, after he joined, you have all the liberals who previously supported Tesla now vandalizing Teslas and very fearful of owning a Tesla. And something I saw, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, is that the number of Tesla cars owned by people are still increasing, but the number of Teslas being sold per year are decreasing. However, Tesla isn't normal in the sense that like Ford, you buy a Ford and then you get, let's say, Progressive, or you get Allstate, to cover your car. With a Tesla, you get Tesla. With a Tesla, you get Tesla insurance. And those insurance numbers are increasing every single year. So that's only going to help their business in the long run. They don't even need to sell exponentially more cars. Now, some of those numbers are like 30% less cars, 60% less cars. So it is drastic. But overall, I still think that the money machine that Tesla is making is still going to chug along. But I do think that this quarter is going to be a rough quarter to stomach. If you can kind of get past this quarter, then I think the next few quarters we have some good numbers to look at. The other thing is, a lot of people are trying to price in the robot sales and the taxi sales and the full self-driving, but it's so hard to price any of that in when there hasn't been a single sale. So a lot of that is just hopium that it can turn into real numbers. It absolutely can. I think it will, but you're definitely playing a guessing game here if that's what you're banking on. We can actually go check out Tesla, see how it's doing right now. 282. So yeah, like I said, I sold it 270, like maybe 3-4 days, market days ago. And I posted it in my friend's group chat with us. He instantly called me. I thought it was so funny. I was in the doctors with my mom, and I was just trying to we were in the doctors forever. So I just started looking at stocks, and I went all the way back to 2018. I could even show that on the chart while we talk about it. But I was looking at the SPY back in 2018 and 2019, just trying to look at Trump's previous term, right? So president comes in January, right here. Here, I'll try to zoom in on it. So he comes in, December is when the election, everybody's like kind of figuring out who won and all that. And boom, we see that it's Trump. It starts going up and up and up and up. And then boom, January, he gets in office. It goes up and up and up. He starts talking about tariffs right here. And boom, and that's kind of what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. All right. Only this bottomed in February, and now we're bottoming in April. And then we get this giant V-shaped recovery, which is why I bought calls Monday and Tuesday, just because, history does repeat itself. Now, this is a much different environment than 2018, but I'm just saying that's where the simple mindset came from. And then what you can also see, though, is we kind of chop along, come right back down, and we don't see a new high on the SPY until August of 2018. So we could do the same thing. That's why if we do get a strong V-shaped recovery, I'm probably going to sell one of my options on SoFi, and I'll hold all my other shares, and I'll hold the other option on SoFi because I have until 2027 on that option. But I started looking at stuff like this, and that's why I decided to sell some of my Tesla. I also think, like I said, I think Tesla is going to have bad earnings, and people are going to have to either stomach that or sell. And then once you start getting better earnings again, people start buying again. But then even here, sure, we pop above it. What was the top here? 286. And then the top here is 294, 293 and some change. Like, what is that? 2, 3, maybe 4%? That's nothing. And then we instantly start going back down. And these were when he started adding, I don't know if he added tariffs or if this was when Mexico and China started adding tariffs back onto us, started creating that trade war. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the trade war was continuing during this time, and we went even lower than this. So, if I sold Tesla here and it recovers and then does nothing for a while and it comes down to these levels, then I'll be happy that I sold. And then finally after that, we get a strong recovery. And then again, to get higher than the number when he came in January, we have to wait all the way until about halfway through in May 2019. So a year and a half later. And then even then we still fall. And until we really start recovering is about October 2019. It's like a year and maybe like 8 months, maybe 10 months, whatever. So there is a lot of potential for some sideways and downside action with this Trump presidency. But the swings are going to be crazy. It's going to be so hard to play. This market is not going to be this easy up-only market, in my opinion. I do think that Bitcoin might be easier to play. Cardano might be easier to play. Wait, was I not showing that the whole time? Was I showing this or was I not showing this? Well, I'll just quickly show it again. I hope I was showing this. But he came in 2018 right here. We fell, right? And then all the way back here after some ups and downs, it took about until October 2019 to finally turn into up-only mode again. So about a year and about 8 months to turn into up-only mode. And then, oh man, this was so fun too. I was talking to some of my friends about this. They were getting really, we had a heated debate yesterday. And they were, one of my friends who doesn't invest, so it's funny that he was talking about it. He was getting really mad that I wasn't taking this video that he sent me like too serious. And it was about how like Big Lots is failing and bankrupting, and Forever 21, Joann's, Michael's. And I was like, bro, all those companies suck. I don't give a fuck. Like, what are we even talking about? And then the other part of the video was about how they're doing what they did in 2008. They're capitulating debt, and then they're like sending it or selling it to pension plans. And that is what's happening right now. That's true. But anyways, I just don't think that it's like one of those situations with Michael Burry, right? He was right, but he was wrong on the timing. And so he lost and lost and lost and lost. And then he finally hit it big. I'm not trying to predict 2008. I know it's going to happen. At some point, it'll happen. But you can't predict that stuff. That stuff is way too hard to predict. In my opinion, maybe better traders know exactly what they're doing, but whatever. I digress. And then you have COVID happen. And COVID was the most obvious shorting like environment ever. You saw China and about right here, China, and in this whole month, China was dying. Like China was down here. And because it was all over China, they had to shut down everything. And then we heard news that it went to like Australia, I think first. And then Australia, we started seeing like really starting to struggle. And I was like, okay, if it can go from China to Australia, like it's definitely coming to the United States. I started shorting probably around right here. I made so much money on the way down, and then I lost it all because I kept holding. But it was fun. It was fun. And what I was trying to tell him was like, I wasn't worried. I was buying the dip like around here to here, like in this range. I was buying stocks. And, if you don't have options that expire within this time period, you're going to do just fine. I don't see a need to worry. But then we create this up only mode because we were way oversold. So even if we do have these oversold moments, they're just buy the dip opportunities. It just sucks that we have to wait so long in comparison to the previous administrations that we've had, because all the other administrations, you just kind of slowly go up and up and up. And then for the first time in a while, we actually just kind of go sideways. How many years ago was full driving promised by them? That's exactly what I'm talking about too. They promised full self-driving would be here like, 4 or 5 years ago? Too many missed deliverables from Tesla. Not a political thing at all. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. So we'll have to see. I'm enjoying the market right now. I think where we're at right now is, so I'll share the Robinhood. I think where we're at right now is probably right here. This is February of his first term. And then we have a buy the dip opportunity that rockets up, I don't know, probably 7%, 6% from the bottom. I think for many stocks, that's going to be very profitable in the short term. And then I think if we start going back into these arguments and these trade wars, we could easily stagnate and go sideways and even fall for about a year and a half. And the reason why I say a year and a half and not forever is because Trump wants to win another president, another 4 years, which sounds so crazy. But he's serious. He's trying to change the law to where he can run for another 4 years after this. Now, whether that happens or not, right now, because it's so new, he hasn't pushed it through. Democrats would lose their freaking minds. Like, oh my, it's going to be crazy. This whole term is going to be crazy. But if he can do it, he's definitely going to need markets on his side. He's going to want people happy, or he's not going to win that. So we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about Elon too. If he's not going to be a part of the government anymore, does that mean he's not going to be a part of Doge anymore? And he was the one who named it Doge, so he just came for the name, and then now he's going to leave. But I'd be happy for Elon to leave Doge. I think that he's getting clobbered with Tesla and the death threats and people trying to bomb all these Teslas. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, you can hate the guy, sure, but I don't know, man. When Biden was in office, you didn't see a bunch of Republicans trying to kill Biden and attack Biden and all the liberals. But when Trump wins, you see a bunch of liberals trying to attack Republicans and Tesla, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So I think for Elon, for Tesla, which I do have probably like a fourth of my portfolios in Tesla, just because of how much it grew. I want it to continue. I want those robots to do good. I want full self-driving to come out, and I want him to get out of the government. That would be so great. But even still, it's going to take some time. It's not like he can just be like, hey, I'm leaving Doge, by the way. And everybody's like, oh, thank God. All right, let me go take my Tesla back. No, they already sold it. The people who are mad are going to stay mad because they don't like to not be mad. It's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it, but when people get stuck in emotions, they kind of double down sometimes, right? If you're mad and somebody is like, hey man, look, it's actually not that bad, and you want to be mad, right? You don't listen. You ignore that because you're stuck in your anger. Same thing for sadness. You try to tell somebody, oh, things aren't that bad, man. Like, come over to the house, and they're stuck in their sadness. They don't want to come over. So it's going to take some people some time to shake all that shit off. But in the meantime, I'm just going to buy the dip. I think we're going to have a few sideways rumors. 4 o'clock today, we're going to get smacked with all the real data. We're probably going to continue to have rumors leading up to then. During my workout today, I just had the news on because I wanted to hear all the rumors. And the fact that there was like 7 rumors by the time the market opened and this stream started, just 3 hours, 3.5 hours? That's crazy. And they were all positive, which I feel like there's got to be a negative rumor coming soon. Maybe that's what this little dip is, but even still, that's not even strong enough. We'll have to see. But these numbers, even still, because sometimes I think about it and I get nervous on buying stuff here. So like Mara, for example, I'm down 32, 33%, right? Let me share this. So, you'll see that today it's up 5%. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to buy it when it's up 5%. But then it's like, dude, you're down 32%. Like, it's not that bad, is all I'm saying. Right? Obviously, it would have been great to buy yesterday at 11:57 or the day at 11:37. But, you really start scrolling out and it's like, this was $16 a month ago, 3 months ago, it was 20, and a year ago, it was, well, I guess that's the year to date. So, within the last year, it was at 27. And if we do see Bitcoin start to pop and break out at some point, Mara will follow that. So it's hard. You just ignore the fact that things are up. If you still think it's bearish, don't necessarily short it because we're down so much. I think that would be a bad idea right now. But I don't know. Maybe just don't buy. But I'll be buying shares. I think shares are the safest thing to buy right now. Crypto, you could buy crypto too. Let's see. What crypto would I buy? I know we're here to talk about ADA, but ADA's actually holding up pretty well. And it's really funny. I'm starting to see people on Twitter complain about Ethereum like people used to complain about ADA. And all the people that used to be like, well, Charles Hoskinson is going to crash ADA because he said this and he acts like this. And it showed him like doing the funny stuff with all the like gadgets on his face, acting like a fool, saying, he doesn't want venture capitalists or whatever the hell he says. But then you have Ethereum's founder out there like doing these weird, cringy dances and like acting acting really strange, acting like a robot almost, just very strange. And I'm just like, if this guy can't crash ETH, I'm not worried at all about Charles and Ada. But let's see if we could get Bitcoin to maybe hold. Like, it's not even down that bad. 106,000 to 86,000, so down 8%, 8.3%. That's not bad for cryptocurrency. And it's still up 24% on the year. It's just not that bad. You know, it's not the greatest dip opportunity for crypto. So that's kind of why I've been going into stocks as well. It's holding up way better than I think people know. XRP, I could check out XRP. I feel like XRP is even higher than Bitcoin though. Especially if you look at the year. Like, I do have a lot of friends tell me, I'm like, hey man, you should be buying the dip on like SoFi or whatever, because I like SoFi. So that's what I always tell everybody. But a lot of them are like, hey man, I'm buying XRP. I'm like, that could be fine. It could be. But man, 50 cents, it's up. We'll go to the year. It's up 250% on the year. That's just, it could come down a lot more is all I'm saying. And it could come down to right here. It could come down to 140 where it's only up 128%. And that would be completely normal. So if you buy this dip and we go lower, you could lose 50% real quick. And if you buy something like, I don't know, I still think Tesla could come down a lot too, to be honest. But if you buy something like, this is why I call out SoFi, right? So if you buy SoFi at 12.40, 12.35, whatever, even like, let's say a fair range, $12 on the dot. Where do you really think it's going to go? On the year, it's up 75%, which is a lot for a stock. I can't deny that. Well, what's worst case scenario? We probably go down to like 10. So maybe you'd lose like another $2.50 off of that. Maybe that's 20%. I just don't think it's that bad. SoFi also, by the way, for the last 5 quarters in a row, has increased profitability. The last quarter, they didn't like that much because they took some of their profit and they reinvested it into their company to try to make more profit this quarter, which they're going to have earnings at the end of this month, which is another reason why I bought an option this month. So I try to look for investments like that, like investments where your downside isn't as bad as some of these others. And, you know, I get that you could try to invest in XRP and maybe there's some crazy news and it goes to $10, but let's be realistic. If none of these stocks are moving, SoFi isn't moving, or XRP isn't moving either. All right, like the whole market is going to go or the whole market's not going to go. Some other safer options, I like AMD. AMD, if you look at, where was it? Right here is at 207, more than 50% off. That's pretty crazy. AMD, you're always going to need chips. You're always, you know, NVIDIA is getting kind of clobbered in the sense that people are saying they don't need AI chips as much. And AMD is the secondary to that. But you're always going to need chips for something. Like, sure, maybe you don't need the best of the best because you had, I don't even remember what it was called, but there's that AI in China that came out and it could do everything that, not Grok, but the other AI could do, ChatGPT or something like that. And they did it, they say, for way cheaper, right? So they're saying that you don't need the best, I don't even know what the NVIDIA chips are called, but you don't need the best NVIDIA chips. But, you know, I think that that's actually a good thing for AMD because a bunch of people could build neural networks with AMD chips because, quote unquote, you don't need the best of the best. But even still, you've never needed the best of the best. But it's still nice. It's still great to have the best of the best. That's why they are where they are. That's why they have that price. So got plenty of room to run even after this last run. Hold. I'm not selling. I'll tell you that. I am not selling XRP. That is not my plan. I bought XRP to sell, which is really funny. I bought it at, I think my first buy was 50 cents. My second buy was 60 cents, somewhere in there. And I don't know. My average is 60, so that can't be true. I probably just bought both of them around 60. But I bought it to sell on the news that they were going to drop the court case. And then they dropped the court case, but they dropped the court case after it pumped up so much, and then it pumped even more. And so I waited way too long, and I got lucky, and it just went up a bunch. So I actually kind of fell in love with XRP, but it was supposed to just be a flip. And I bought XLM as like a secondary to that because maybe it would run more, and it didn't. But I still got, I think, 100% on it. I can't complain at all. So I'm happy with that. Let's see. Is there a new tweet? Nope. No new tweet. What do y'all think about Render? Because Render is also... Will they share Render on here? Nah. We'll go over here. Because Render is kind of similar to like an AMD NVIDIA play. You know, but just in crypto. Because it's going to be taking people's graphics cards and you'll be able to use them as opposed to having to buy your own. I think Render could have, I mean, it already has the potential for a lot of use case. I don't know the network like that. I'd have to look more into it. I don't know, like, if you can go into it and use it right now to, let's say, process a video or a movie. Like, let's say you have a bunch of movie clips put together and you just want to render it, right, into a movie. You would need either a beefy laptop or a beefy computer to render that all and process it into a video format. But, or you just might need time, because to process, let's say, like a 4K movie would take forever on an old laptop. Like, it'll probably even crash, and it'll probably corrupt the file, and you probably just won't even be able to do it. But if you could use something like Render to do that, then that would prevent you from having to go out spending $2,000 on a laptop, or, you know, $1,200 on one of the greatest NVIDIA graphics cards. And that's why I think Render has potential for a lot of value. But I don't know how it actually works and if the use cases are already working. I just know that that's kind of the idea behind Render. So we'll have to see about that. But I think it's worth the gamble. I think Link is also worth the gamble. I haven't bought Link in a while. I owned it in the last cycle. I keep going to the market cap. Let's see. Let's go out to the 1 day. So if you believe in crypto and you believe that use cases for crypto are going to happen, I think Link is a must buy. And I haven't bought it myself, so take it for what it's worth. But I do think that it's a must buy. It's going to be what connects real world data to the crypto network. So if you want to, let's say, do like sports betting, right? And you wanted to bet, you know, Yankees Red Sox game or something, then you would be able to do that using connecting Link to your network and then checking the Link network to see the accurate data from that baseball game. And without Link, I don't know how you'd be able to do that. I'm sure there's other oracles. I believe that's what they're called, oracles, that do similar things to Link. But Link is, like, I think by far, I could be wrong on this too. It's been a while since I've looked into all these, but when I did check, it was by far like the oracle to use. We have Rookie running up a little bit. Not too bad. But yeah, those are the things that I'm looking at. I'm probably going to end up just repeating myself a lot at this point. But those are pretty much everything. If you guys are trying to trade, like actively trade, just continue to watch out for rumors today. Because here's the thing, for stocks and crypto, I mean, both really, we'll go to the S&P or whatever, even Bitcoin, like it just doesn't matter. Every play that's going to play out over the next week is going to happen after the market today. So if you want to make a play, you have to make a play before 4 o'clock, which sucks for like stocks and crypto, or it doesn't suck for crypto. Actually, crypto would probably be the better play because the markets will be closed when Trump goes live and he starts talking about what he's going to do for tariffs. If he says anything below 15%, this will be the last thing I say to y'all. If he goes below 15% on tariffs or even at 15%, that's probably bullish. Probably. Now, if he goes 20% to 25%, I think 25% is a sell. I think that's bad. 20% is flat. You'll probably still get a sell, but it'll mainly be flat. But if you think that it's going to be 15% or lower, you might want to buy either, if you're an options guy, you're going to want to make your plays on the long side before 4 o'clock for stocks. For crypto, it doesn't matter, which is actually, this is a great opportunity for people who are playing crypto. I don't short crypto. I don't play with any of the options or whatever, going leverage longs, leverage shorts on crypto at all. Maybe I will in the future. I think that'd be really fun. But if you do that, that could be a really big opportunity for some of y'all too. So watch what he says. Watch for any rumors. If you're buying shares, buy them before 4 o'clock if you think we're going higher. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, guys. I appreciate y'all for being here. Remember to get outside, see your friends, see your family. We're here to make more money so that we can spend more time with them. Until next time, peace.